probably, at least in the northern part of Pakistan, the people who are deeply involved with education. So this is an important gathering. And therefore, I think it's important that we should brief everybody on what we are doing when it comes to single national curriculum. Let me begin by saying that there were many people who told me when I took this position that this kind of thing cannot be done. I was told that there is 18th Amendment, there are so many points of view, there are pressure groups and so on and so forth. So how will you be able to do something which hasn't been done in the last 70 odd years? And it hasn't still been done, but we've traveled a fair amount of distance. We have accomplished some things which are reasonably remarkable. I'm not saying, I'm being very careful with how much I praise the effort. But let me say that, for example, the provinces. We have in the all federating units, if you include GB and Gilgit-Baltistan and Azad Kashmir, there are different governments in Gilgit-Baltistan and in Azad Kashmir, not from our party. There is another party's government in Sindh. There is a coalition in Balochistan. And of course, PTI has governments in KP and Punjab. But today, we are lucky that each and every federating unit is working jointly on this exercise. And that is something that many people thought was not possible. In fact, last Thursday, I went to Sindh and I had a meeting with the Chief Minister and with the Education Minister. And if you see the headlines next day in Dawn and in other papers, the headline was that Sindh Chief Minister says that we will fully support the single national curriculum. So in political terms, I think what the kind of unity that we have created is quite a remarkable achievement. And those who understand the difficulties that we have in politics would know how difficult this sort of a thing can be. But it's not just this. There are other areas in which we had to work very hard. Ittihad-e-Tanzeem al-Madaris, for example, were very skeptical to begin with. They were not particularly enthused with this exercise. But today, we have them as a part of the National Curriculum Council. They have signed a written agreement with us in which they have agreed that in the next 4 to 5 years, all madaris in Pakistan would be asking their students to take metric and FAFSE. In other words, they have signed on to the single national curriculum. So that is also a reasonable achievement. Then, of course, there are a great number of skeptics in the so-called elite private schools. Over there also we had much skepticism, and still do to some extent. But we associated them with our exercise, and I can say with some degree of confidence that most of them are on board. In fact, I would say all of them are on board. It's just a question of that how we roll out the curriculum. I'm not overconfident. I think that there are many roads to travel as yet. We have created a draft of this, the single national curriculum, and you saw some of the aspects and exercises that we have done. But there are many steps still to be taken. One of the problems that we have to finally resolve is a problem of language. That what language are we going to teach our children in? And by children, I mean all children, not those who come from households where English is spoken, from households where nothing but mother tongue is spoken, and so there is great diversity. So this issue requires serious thinking. All the experts tell us that best learning takes place in the mother tongue. But we have approximately 50 plus mother tongues. So how do you create a curriculum in which there are so many mother tongues? Then there is a question of language of common usage, that maybe you use language of common usage. So to address this question, we have called a national conference. And I think this is the first time in our, at least I am not aware, Bela Jamil and others who have been in this for a very, very long time will know better. But this one-day conference will only be devoted to the question of language. And we will call people from all over the country, people who are writing about these things, people who are speaking about these things. Come and guide us, come and tell us, so that we can move forward. One of the anomalies is that Punjab abandoned Punjabi long time ago. It hurts me deeply because I've grown up speaking Punjabi at home. My parents spoke Punjabi. When I went to school, the only language that I knew was Punjabi. But for some reason, Punjab abandoned Punjabi long time ago. Perhaps there were reasons because every 100 miles the language changes. The language that I speak at home and the language which is just 100 miles away is different. We can understand each other, of course, but the accent is different, some words are different. So these are issues, these are tricky issues. We are not a single language country, so we have to resolve them. But I'm very happy to say that in apropos the subject that we are discussing today, Mr. Peter Jacob has actively participated in our national curriculum. I was very happy that he pointed out in the old textbooks the kind of things which were discriminatory. He pointed out aspects or passages which were hate-filled. So we have actively sought to remove any such thing. We have actively sought to make our curriculum as inclusive and for everybody in Pakistan. And you just heard a little bit of detail on how we've gone about it. I can assure you that this government, Prime Minister Imran Khan and his cabinet and everybody, we are people with very, very strong views on tolerance. Just the other day, if you saw the tweets of Prime Minister Imran Khan, that after the carnage that is taking place in India, Muslims are being targeted and butchered. 46 people have been killed in Delhi. Entire Muslim neighborhoods have been burnt. And the Prime Minister's tweet was that anybody who targets any minority in Pakistan would face the full wrath of the government. And some of the comments that I saw on his tweet from India were amazing. So it's not because we are being tactical or we are being, politically correct. It is an element of our belief that our curriculum, our nation, our country is a country where there is diversity of all kinds. There is diversity of ethnicity, there is diversity of language, there is diversity of religion. And And while we are one nation and we have to, of course, inculcate the idea of one nation among our children, we also have to have an appreciation for the diversity that is in the nation, and acceptance of differences, and tolerance for another point of view. So these are good goals to set, sometimes not easy to achieve, but inshallah, and please keep in mind, whatever we come through will be read by every child in Pakistan. Those going to madrasa would be reading the same thing, those going to government schools would be studying the same thing, and same thing would be being studied by those going to elite private English medium schools. In fact, let's stop calling them English medium, because the medium would be that which would be determined by the national curriculum. So our target is that by April 2021, we should be able to roll out the primary curriculum. There are many steps that we have to take as we move towards that goal. If I may say so, maybe some people thought this will never happen and never come about, and therefore they were playing along. But now suddenly a lot of people are beginning to realize that we mean business, that this will be done, that this will happen. And inshallah, legislative support would be given to this. So it will be, all the provinces will adopt it because they want to adopt it. They are part of this exercise. They have signed on everything that we are doing. In fact, one very important aspect, and I congratulate our team, one very, very important aspect is that it is so inclusive. We are making sure at every step that all stakeholders, not a very good word, defines everybody, but the federating units, all points of view are included at every step of the way. Of course, there will still be cynics who will say this sort of thing cannot happen. There will be those who generally hate us who would say that this government isn't capable of doing anything. So, but let the cynics be cynical. That's part of the beauty and of democracy. So, but I assure you, we are determined. This is part of our manifesto. We've been talking about it a long time. Imran Khan has been talking about it for a long time. Even when I was not in politics and I was writing regularly, I used to call it educational apartheid, the way our system was. So my personal commitment to this is far, precedes my involvement in politics. So if we are able to, we cannot bring complete uniformity in our education system, obviously. There would be difference in rich and poor areas, there would be differences in rural and urban, private schools would be better funded, would have better teachers, etc. So, and there has been a huge neglect of the state, particularly for the poor. And that gap has been filled by the madrasas who have taken up the cause of the poorest of the poor. Sometimes people from my background look derisively at religious madrasas. But we have to acknowledge that those 2.5 million approximate children who go to school in madrasas are those who have been abandoned by the state over a period of time. So we have to give credit, and without a single penny being charged from the state. Yes, we have issues, but we have issues in elite schools too, and we have issues everywhere. So we have to open our hearts to diversity. When we preach diversity, let's also preach diversity or be tolerant of things that are very different from us. Sometimes I have a feeling that we are very tolerant, by we I mean those who come from a particular elite background, that we are very tolerant of other religions, but we are very intolerant of our aspects of not aspects of our religion, but those who preach religion in a different way. So I think we need to open up our hearts, and I hope that in the end this would be transformational, because this would be the first time in our history that we would have a single national curriculum. So it's still, there is a year to go, and we have to keep at it, and we will. And I assure you that we are determined that this single national curriculum will come about. Last thing, I hope that you have a great conference today. I hope we look forward to hearing from what the outcomes of this conference. Whatever you advise us, we would be very, very happy to consider that. So I wish you the very best. Thank you very much.
We just stop as a good document. Thank you.
I think there are two differences. One, that we have included the provinces actively at every stage of the development of this curriculum. Secondly, I think, if I'm not wrong, the 2006 curriculum was not designed or thought of as a national curriculum, in the sense that there was no legal framework or anything which ensured that every school in Pakistan, whether it be private, public, or madrasa, religious, would have the same curriculum. I don't think that was the purpose of that curriculum. Secondly, we have given ourselves a full year. The curriculum for class 1 to 5 would be ready, inshallah, by the end of this month. We have given ourselves an entire year to do exactly what you're saying. Make sure it is implemented everywhere, make sure textbooks are printed, make sure that all the steps that are required in implementation. And that is why I said there is a long way to go. And even in physical terms, I mean, there is one more year to go. And we will do all of these things in that 1 year. And I think one attendant question that arises out of this is that it's my view, and I'm no expert. I mean, there are people like Musharraf Zaidi sitting here. It's my view that in the first 5 years of education, or 7 or 8 years of education, the syllabus, meaning the transition from curriculum to actual text, should be relatively similar, in the sense that if we want to achieve the objective of making sure that there is appreciation of diversity and so on, all of those things that you heard about, that we should try and have greater similarity in textbooks and others. Obviously, one similarity will not be there, and that is language. For example, the Sindh is already teaching all the subjects in Sindhi, and they will continue to teach. We are not going to say that, you have to have Urdu or whatever. It will be, in fact, the provinces, the content would be similar, but the provinces have every right to decide to use whichever language they think is, and that is why we are having a language conference also. So I'm not unmindful of the fact that there are going to be various difficulties and problems on the way. Of course there are. But what big thing has been done by anybody without any difficulties and problems and obstacles? So, inshallah, we will overcome them. And I'm very confident, I'm quietly confident that we'll be able to overcome them. Yes?
Just to acknowledge that this is, one of the most mature and committed conversations that we've heard, and it's a great way to start our conference today. And the process through which you've gone through, to what you've said from day one that you'll do, it's sort of almost there. So I just wanted to, I'm coming from also an education financing perspective, and it's just a suggestion that when it comes to implementation and its challenges, financing is always a very big one. And traditionally, if you look at all our, or ask any of your team members to look at provincial budgets, you'll see very little, or if at all, a budget line which says curriculum implementation or something on development of language or textbooks. And I think in federations what comes handy as a very useful instrument is what would be called as federal grants. And I know we are in a very tight situation when it comes to finances, but this is a good time to argue for moderate federal grants to spur provinces for these kind of innovative and focused exercises. This doesn't mean huge amounts of money, but enough to whet the appetites of the provinces to say, okay, next year we will have put in our own equity. But these kind of federal grants are always seen all over the world as what could be called accelerators, and certainly very positive signs that there's a very positive role of the federal ministry to support the provinces, especially the debt-strapped provinces, for some action where you need implementation in a thoughtful manner, in a localized manner, but some support from the federal government. What are your thoughts on federal grants?
I think thank you very much for pointing this out, because this is my problem, not the ministry, but I had thought that every province has a certain budget for textbooks, and they have textbook boards and so on. All we have to do is to ask them not to print the old textbooks and get ready to print the new textbooks. But I think you have highlighted something that we need to focus on. So we are going to have the entrepreneurial education. Incidentally, our IPMC is a regular feature. We have an entrepreneurial education ministers conference every 2 to 3 months. So we will raise this issue, and we will see clearly the kind of commitment that the Prime Minister has to this. I will certainly request them to keep some amount of money so that we can use this if need be. Incidentally, I forgot to mention that in this exercise, because question of money se mujhe yaad aaya, but in this exercise we floated a request for proposal, and Aga Khan University gave us an offer. So Aga Khan University is our institutional partner in the development of this curriculum. Later on, LUMS has also joined us. So instead of having individual consultants, we decided that we should have institutional support. Cambridge University, incidentally, is helping us very much, although some could argue that in the long run, it's against their interest to promote a national curriculum, because the national curriculum would have national certifications also. But they are also being very helpful, and their experts have given us very good feedback on a variety of issues that we showed. So we are trying to make sure that we have as much intellectual input from all sides as possible. But I think it's a good idea. We will make sure that isko zara thoda note kar lein. We have.
Sir Anjum James Paul, I'm assistant professor of political science, और मेरे 24 research analysis भी हैं on the textbooks of Pakistan, और अभी जो social studies का जो curriculum develop हुआ है SNC की जानब से, तो I was from Punjab. सर मेन जो चीज़ है, यहाँ बड़ी अच्छी बातें कही गई हैं सिंगल नेशनल करिकुलम के हवाले से, लेकिन जब टेक्स्ट बुक्स हमारे सामने आती हैं तो उसमें बिल्कुल ही दूसरी सूरत जो है वो हमारे सामने आ जाती है. अभी जो कुछ हमें दिखाया गया है, चंद एक जो चीज़ें दिखाई गई, दीज आर गुड, लेकिन फिर भी हम देखते हैं कि डाइवर्सिटी जो है वो शायद 1% में नहीं आती. करिकुलम बिल्कुल ठीक होता है, लेकिन जब ये अभी इसी करिकुलम के मुताबिक जब टेक्स्ट बुक्स डेवलप होंगी तो उसमें बहुत सारा आर्टिकल 22 की वायलेशन की जाती है. बिकॉज रिलीजन, द डोमिनेंट रिलीजन ऑफ पाकिस्तान इज टॉट इन द सब्जेक्ट्स ऑफ सोशल साइंसेस, लैंग्वेजेस, और उसके साथ साथ जो है इवन ये फिजिकल साइंसेस जो हैं उनमें भी रिलीजन को एक ही मजहब को शामिल कर दिया
आपको अभी तो दिखाया,
जिसकी वजह से हमारे बच्चे जो हैं दे आर कंफ्यूज्ड. आई हैव गॉन थ्रू इट. अभी मैंने फेडरल डायरेक्टरेट ऑफ एजुकेशन की जो है 58 टेक्स्ट बुक्स को देखा है, एनालिसिस किया है, जो भी पढ़ाई जा रही है, और ग्रेड 1 से ग्रेड 5 तक ओनली जो साइंस है इसमें 93% जो है इस्लामिक टीचिंग्स है.
नहीं देखो, वो तो जो पुरानी बात के ऊपर डिस्कशन करने का तो फायदा नहीं है ना.
सर हम ये चाहते हैं कि जो नई किताबें हैं उनमें आर्टिकल 22 जो है इसको जो है ठीक रखा जाए।
देखिए ना, मैंने पहले आपको अर्ज़ किया कि एक तो करिकुलम के आपने ऑब्जेक्टिव सारे देख लिए। मेरी तो ख्वाहिश ये है, और ये मैं कोशिश करूँगा कि हम सब का इस पे एक इत्तेफाक राय पैदा कर लें। मेरी ख्वाहिश ये है कि जो हम टेक्स्ट बुक्स और बाकी चीज़ें डेवलप करें, वो भी हम मिल के एक फेडरल लेवल पे करें, ताकि हमारे करिकुलम के ऑब्जेक्टिव्स जो हैं वो फुली उसमें रिफ्लेक्ट हों। मैं आपको ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि हम डिटरमिन्ड हैं कि कोई ऐसी चीज़ नहीं होगी हमारे करिकुलम में और हमारे टेक्स्ट बुक्स में जो कि किसी के ख़िलाफ़ हो, जो नफ़रत फैलाई जाए जिससे, ये बिल्कुल नहीं होगा। हम उस पर डिटर्मिन्ड। ये सारी एक्सरसाइज अगर फिर तो यूज़लेस हो गई अगर हमने नफ़रत और ये सारी चीज़ें उसमें शामिल करनी है, तो इंशाल्लाह ऐसे नहीं होगा। हाँ जी,
आपके पास अगर वक्त है तो
वन मोर क्वेश्चन इफ देयर इज एनी। जी,
आप आपस में चूज कर लें। खातून,
खातून कर लें पहले।
Thank you so much. My name is Zahra Arshad and I'm National Coordinator, Pakistan Coalition for Education. Thank you for your presence. It's indeed a good step towards having one curriculum, and it's in dire need of the time we are passing through. My question is, I was going through this and I'm not able to find the critical thinking in how we can promote critical thinking in our students, in our children. And the other thing, I think, when we are talking about inclusion, it is also important that the inclusivity should be a part of the process. So that means that once it is completed, now we have a draft curriculum policy. Why don't we put it on the website and we can ask the people to comment on it? So it will help you out in the terms of you're talking about the language thing, you're talking about other things, diversity. I think all these questions will be addressed, and then we can have a certain time period to feed in on those things.
I think that we have tried to be as inclusive as possible in our exercise. As you notice that we have all federating units, more or less all stakeholders are part of the national curriculum. So I think that I don't have any problem. We are not afraid of what we have done. We think we have done a very good job. But my only fear is that if we open it up too much, we might get into an unending debate. Curriculum is one of those subjects. Every day I get messages from people that इसको भी शामिल करें, उसको भी करें, ये भी करें, वो भी करें. So ये ना हो कि हम एक unending debate में पड़ जाएं. और हमारा जो टाइम टेबल है, जो कि सो मेरा ख्याल है कि the halfway house could be कि जितने लोग एजुकेशन में इंटरेस्टेड हैं, हम एक डायलॉग्स का प्रोसेस जो है वो ज़्यादा शुरू कर देते हैं. That we can, जिस तरह का आज डायलॉग हो रहा है, we can have similar dialogues in all the provincial capitals and GB and AJK, so that more and more people who are interested get involved. So बाकी technical subjects questions जो हैं वो I am no expert. I have to handle the politics and I know where we want to go. We want to go towards a curriculum that is inclusive, a curriculum that reflects what Pakistan is, a diverse country with different cultures, different religions, and one nation. So it has to be a combination of those. And inshallah, that is where we are heading. एक last चलें आप कर लें.
My name is Sayyid Hassan. I work with Human Development Foundation as Executive Director. Congratulations, it's really heartening. My question is, we all know that this initiative might become a golden feather in the cap of the government, but we are familiar that the devil lies in the details and its execution. Is there any very well thought through monitoring and evaluation mechanism being put in place to track the progress? कोई road map तो बना होगा obviously, और किस तरह से जो citizens का perspective है, engagement है, उसको ensure किया जा रहा है, और वो कहीं किसी dashboard पे reflect हो रहा होगा, so that we are continuously monitoring it and reviewing it and re-strategizing it.
You see, if you look at the National Curriculum Council, it has almost every shade of opinion that there can be. Even in the working groups, we have tried to include as many diverse people, if you will, as possible. Roadmap is very clear. We are going to enforce this by April 2021. So we have a year, and in this year we have to do all those things which are necessary. We have to develop textbooks, we have to develop assessment systems, we have to do all of these things. We have to make sure everybody is on board. मैंने जैसे पहले कहा कि बहुत सारे लोग तो इसलिए support कर रहे थे कि they thought this will never happen. Now people are beginning to realize that this is going to happen. So that sort of concentrates many minds which were not concentrating before. But so we will do that, and we will make sure that we have a lot of goodwill and support for this also. Our development partners are here; they have been supporting us in every possible way. So most of the messages that I get, believe me, the hunger for a national curriculum is huge, because people feel that they are being discriminated against. देखें ना प्रॉब्लम क्या है. प्रॉब्लम ये है कि जो इस वक्त माहौल है उसमें तो पीपल लाइक मी आर विनर्स, क्योंकि अंग्रेज़ी का माहौल है, सरकार की ज़बान अंग्रेज़ी है, अदालत की ज़बान अंग्रेज़ी है, कॉरपोरेट ज़बान अंग्रेज़ी है. तो जो एक ख़ास किस्म की तालीम, छोटा तबका जो एक ख़ास किस्म की तालीम हासिल करके आता है कामयाब है. मुकाबले के इम्तिहान जो हैं वो अंग्रेज़ी में है, सो वो तो कामयाब है. जो बाकी है उनको दिन रात एक्स्ट्रा मेहनत करनी पड़ती है आगे आने के लिए. सो ये जो नाइंसाफ़ी है इस निज़ाम में वो भी तो दुरुस्त करनी है. सो इस नाइंसाफ़ी की वजह से बहुत सारे लोग इस चीज़ के इंतज़ार में हैं कि ये इम्प्लीमेंट हो. सो एक तो हम तो आज देख रहे हैं ना फ्रॉम अ पर्सपेक्टिव of how different systems of education may increase intolerance. हम तो उस perspective से देख रहे हैं ना. But look at it from another perspective. It's this an unjust system. It perpetuates the class division in the country. जो इस वक्त हमारे तबकाती तकसीम है वो इसको perpetuate कर रहा है. पेरेंट्स को तो मैं ब्लेम नहीं करता. मेरे वालिद ने मुझे एक अंग्रेज़ी स्कूल में भेजा बिकॉज मेरे वालिद की या वालदैन की ये थिंकिंग थी कि ये कामयाब ज़िंदगी में तब होगा जब ये, हमारे घर में तो कोई अंग्रेज़ी नहीं बोलता था, हम तो एक गांव के रहने वाले थे, लेकिन एक थॉट थी कि नहीं अंग्रेज़ी नहीं होगी तो नहीं कामयाब हो सकेंगे. सो ये सारी चीज़ें जो हैं इनको जहन में, दिस इज़ वेयर वी आर कमिंग फ्रॉम. वी हैव टू एंड दिस क्लास डिविजन्स इन एजुकेशन. आसान नहीं है, लॉन्ग जर्नी है, लेकिन इंशाल्लाह विद एफर्ट एंड विल एंड डिटर्मिनेशन वील गेट देयर. थैंक यू वेरी मच.